Hi, this is Mighty CS Man, and today I'm going to be reviewing Practice It, which is the website for building Java programs. We're going to be going over Chapter 5, which is indefinite loops, and self-check 5.2, converting from for to. So each of these loops we're going to have to convert into an equivalent while loop. I'm going to show you the answers for all of these, but really you need to figure out, I want you to think about how to figure these out on your own and only use this video if you can't figure them out. It's really going to be best for you if you do it that way. But I am going to walk through them in detail. It's going to take a lot longer than if you just did it yourself. But again, if you can't figure it out, then you can come back and watch this video. So the first loop is just a simple loop from 1 to max. Okay. And so we're going to have to convert this into a while loop. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out this for loop. And then we're going to do work on replacing it with a while loop. So what's the difference between a for loop and a while loop? Well, one thing is that the while loop can, well, both for and a while loop can execute as little as 0 times. So that's similar. We have one condition, which is similar to the for loop. We don't, however, get to set up this variable here like you do in a for loop. So first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to actually need to replace that setting up the variable with an int n equals 1. And then we're also going to need to replace this incrementing n, right? And let me get that spaced right. And then finally we have to do the while loop. So now we've got n defined, so we can just do while n is less than or equal to max. And of course we need that open bracket there. So this should be equivalent to from converting the for to the while. So again, what we had to do is we had to set up this variable, and we had to also do the increment afterwards, and then we just replaced this test with a while loop test. Let's go ahead and, I'm not sure if it'll, yeah, okay, we've got a problem in line 8. Semicolon. I'm not sure if it's going to let us evaluate one at a time or not. Yeah, okay, we're going to have to finish doing all of them before it'll accept the problem. Okay, B, so we've got this for loop here. Let's go ahead and comment that out. And what we've got to do is we've got to set up this int number equals 1, so let's extract that out of there. And we've got to increment the number, so let's extract that out of there. And got to do the semicolon. Okay, so now while number is less than or equal to total divided by 2, so this should be equivalent. Okay, so that should be the equivalent. Again, we're just substituting that. Let's go down to C. Oh boy, we've got 3 of these things. Well, it's a lot more work, but should be the exact same process. Okay, so again, we're going to have to set up K. We'll do the inner loop first. So we're going to set up K, and we're going to increment K. The inner loop. And then we've got to have while K, and then comment this line out. Similarly, let's do this J, which again, for my students, you know that I don't like using I, J, and K. You should always try to use something intelligent that tells you something about what these variables are. But the problem with these problems is that they don't give you any context for what is it you're doing. Are these rows, columns, and then third dimension depth or something like that? I don't know. They don't tell you. But they really should, so that you can actually come up with a useful naming. Okay, I'm going to comment that out. And then again, I'm going to have to bring this out and put this afterwards. Oh, no, actually, I got to think about where I put this. I actually need to put this at the very end of this loop here. So this loop goes from here to here. So the last thing I want to do this loop goes from, I can't, the ellipse. Oh, no, okay. That's the for loop there. So the last thing that it's going to do is here. Okay, so let's double check that I did that right. So this loop here, so k is the last thing in increments. This loop here, j is the last thing in increments. This loop here, yeah, okay. It's a little hard to get it highlighted, but this loop here, I is the last thing it's incremented. Okay, now I need to do a while. Oops, sorry. Had my hands on the wrong part of the keyboard. And then comment this line out. Okay, so that should be correct. Now the last one here, it doesn't look like it's going to be any different. We just need to, once again, bring this out. Bring this down as the last thing in the loop. And then move this to a while. Sorry, I've got a bandage on my finger, which makes it hard to type. Okay. Let's try submitting and see what it says now. Oops, okay, I've got a syntax error or two here. These things. Gotta make sure we put an end there. That may be the only error. Let's try it. See. Oh, okay. Once again, I've got a couple of identifier expected. I must have closed. Oh yeah, okay, I forgot to put the bracket there. Let's try that. Okay, I'm getting closer. And then number. Okay, so here's one of the problems. So when you did it in the for loop, so number, let's see, where did they use number? Here, when you did it in a for loop, this int number here is a local to this section right here. So what we can do, there's a couple of ways to do this. Let's see what number actually is. Number is for number. I'm just going to change this to number D so that this doesn't conflict. All right. Okay, so now all those tests complete. So it was a lot of work, but what did we learn? When we want to convert a for loop to a while loop, which to be honest, pretty much never need to do, but I just wanted to teach you what is the difference between a while loop. A for loop and a while loop both can execute 0 times or more. But a for loop lets you define a local variable, and it lets you define an increment. Okay, so but if you move that local variable out, you move the increment down, you can then replace this for loop with just a while loop. And again, the last problem we encountered is that there's a scoping issue with for loops. When you declare this variable here, it's a local to just these lines here. And so since we used number prior, I had to rename number here. The other thing I could have done is, let me just double check that we can do this. Where's number? Here. Can I actually put this into its own little scope right there? Yeah, and so I don't want to go through the process of changing that back to number, but that just made its own little scope here. Even there's no for loop, it's just a little scope that I created so that number will be local to this section right here. Okay, that's self-check 5.2, converting for loops to while loops. If this helped you, please like and subscribe, and check out my channel for a complete college course for Introduction to Java based off building Java programs.